Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Steve. Steve is from England in the UK. So let's see what Steve has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time this evening for the interview. Thank you.
No, not at all. It's really nice to meet you.
So, tell me, how was your day today?
Yeah, it's been okay. I work a night shift, so my days have consisted of sleeping. So,
I,
yeah, so I'm heading off to work in a couple of hours.
I see. And what do you do for work, for living?
Well, I have two jobs. So I do my transport manager work for a supermarket of an evening or of a night, and then
Yeah.
during the day I do my coaching for my alcohol-free clients. So, bit of a juggling act at the moment.
Amazing. So, tell me, where are you from, Steve?
From Maidstone in Kent, so
Born and
in the
raised?
UK, in the UK, so just outside of London, so not too far from you.
I see. And that's the place where you're born and raised?
Yes, yes, I've never really strayed far from it. So I currently live probably about 5 miles from where I was actually born, so not far at all.
Wow. So tell me something interesting about your hometown, something that stands out compared with other places in the UK.
Well, they call Maidstone or Kent is the Garden of England, isn't it? And they say Maidstone is the county town of Kent. So
Uh-huh.
it's certainly growing. It's got a lot bigger over the last few years from when I was a boy, anyway. So, but yeah, it's got too much traffic. There's lots of people in it, so it's probably like most towns in the UK at the moment, I think.
Amazing. Right. Okay, Steve. So let's start the interview talking a little bit more about your journey as a alcohol-free performance coach. So tell
Okay.
me, when did you have the idea to start this journey and why alcohol-free?
It was probably based on my own kind of issues that I was having around sort of alcohol. So I wasn't an alcoholic. So I was, they call it an average drinker, where you have a couple in the week, and then at the weekend you have a couple more, which then turns into a binge. And I've never ever been one for being good at recovering.
Hmm.
So hangovers for me lasted days, not not one day. I would waste hours laying on the sofa, feeling sorry for myself, with a headache, and then you eat all the bad food, all the everything that you crave. But it was impacting other areas of my life because I was only really operating at probably about 60% in all areas of my life, like in my job and in my home life and stuff as well.
Right.
And then I just had the realization one day that I can't carry on like this, because it's impacting the people around me. It's impacting my health, my physical health, my mental health. So
Totally.
I made a decision to stop drinking years and years ago, but it took hundreds of attempts to actually to do it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because all I was trying to do was just stop drinking. I wasn't actually looking into the reasons why I was doing it and what I was trying to cover up.
Right.
So I did the work on myself to get to a point now where I don't even think about alcohol at all.
Wow.
And I wanted to help other people get to the same place. So I then took a coaching diploma so that I could build my skills as a coach. And yeah, I've been doing that since, So the fulfillment I get from helping someone who was like me, drinking way too much to not drinking at all, is incredible.
That's
So
amazing. I love those stories when people like you, they start a new journey to help others based on their personal experience. I think it's amazing that.
yeah,
And
it
I believe,
it is.
yeah, I believe as well, people, they appreciate that because somehow you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, you know how they feel as well. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. You've been there and you understand. And
Yeah.
with especially with alcohol free, you've got to have that empathy with them because people come to me saying, "I just can't stop."
Hmm.
So we have to unpick that, and there's a lot of uncomfortable work that has to be done sometimes, and a lot of emotions. So having been through it really does help build that trust with the client.
I see. Amazing. Okay, so during the interview, I'm going to explore a bit more about your life and also about your journey so far, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend full of random questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song just for us to relax before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Amazing. First question for you is, what do you like the most about your best friends?
I like the fact that my best friends are always there, without judgment. Um, and especially when I went through my alcohol-free journey, you find along the way you lose a lot of people sometimes. You have friends, you have drinking buddies. The drinking buddies were very, very apparent and they disappeared from my life, which is not really a loss. But my real friends, they just stuck by me. They didn't judge, they supported me, they helped me, they championed me. Um, and I obviously do the same for them. It's a give and take kind of relationship. But it's
Totally.
nice knowing that, if something went wrong at 2 o'clock in the morning, you could pick up the phone, that someone would be there, to help. And again, vice versa. I would do exactly the same for everybody else. So it's how no just knowing that they're there is, it's a massive comfort. Um, so yeah, that's why I love them.
Tell me a friend that, for example, as you mentioned now, that's maybe something happened or something very hard happened that you could call anytime. That's which person comes to your mind straight away, and also the opposite, the same situation but in a very happy way. Sometimes you something very nice happened to us, or you just discover something beautiful and you just want to share. So tell me which person you go to, which person naturally comes to your mind when both of those situations happen.
When it comes to friends, I'm gonna say that probably my partner Jenny. She
Wow.
not only is she my partner, she's obviously my best friend. And she's the first person I go to if I've got something on my mind or if I need help, and she does the same to me. So, um, it's it. We've been together for 15 years, and she is still the person I will go to on top of everybody else.
Wow.
If something happens during the day and I need to tell her, I'll tell her, or I can't wait for her to get home so I can tell her what's happened, or run something by her to get her opinion on it. So because we're quite different in our personalities, so I think it works really well.
Absolutely. Does she know about this interview we are doing right now?
She does, yeah. I don't think she fully understands what I'm doing, but she understands it. She said, "Not for a job, is it?" I said, "No, it's not a job."
Tell me, how did your path cross for the very first time?
How about what? Sorry.
Your path crossed for the very first time, you and your partner.
We were introduced by the guy who used to cut my hair.
Oh,
So I was single at the time, and so was she. And he was just cutting my hair one day, and he randomly sort of mentioned, "Oh, I know this person." And I said, "Okay." I wasn't particularly looking for anything at the time, and he said, "Do you wanna swap numbers?" So I said, "Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, yeah. Give him my number. I don't mind." And then like 4 weeks passed, and I didn't hear a thing. So I thought, oh, she's obviously had second thoughts. And then randomly out of the blue, she messaged me one Sunday afternoon. Hi, this is Jenny. How are you? And
oh wow.
I was like, oh, it took me a minute. Like, who's this? And then I remembered. And then we just started chatting over text, and then arranged to meet for dinner. She was late, so because we'd never seen each other before, I didn't know what she looked like. And when you sit, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you sit and it's almost like a blind date, and you sort of
Nice.
think, has she turned up, seen me, and driven off? And because she was like 15, 20 minutes late, and I was starting to panic. And then I
Oh
got the
my God.
text saying, "Oh, I'm here." I was like, "Oh, so,
At
yeah,
least, you are here, at least.
yeah." But it's amazing what goes through your mind in a situation like that.
I'm sure those 15 minutes, it felt like 3, 4 hours for sure.
It did, and when the text come through, I thought, "Oh, this is the text saying she's cancelling," And but luckily it was just as, "Oh, I'm here."
That's amazing. Okay, so Jenny's watching this interview right now and have a moment, an opportunity to send her a message. What would you say? She's watching.
Uh, just thank you for being with me. Thank you for putting up with my little idiosyncrasies and everything else. And yeah, long may it continue. I'm a better man being with her.
Oh, very sweet. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Steve from England. Right, next question is, what's your idea of a perfect day?
Perfect day. I'm a man of very, very simple tastes. So
Uh-huh.
it would be get up. First thing I like to do is I have a cold plunge in my garden. So I get in freezing cold water. And
Wow.
for a lot of people, that's not nice at all. And in fairness, it's not when you first get in, but actually when you get out, it feels great. Then it would be off to the gym to get my
Mhm.
exercise done. Then uh, a very, very large breakfast, which would probably consist of pancakes and bacon and maple syrup, because I absolutely love that. Which kind of conflicts with the gym, but you know,
The
it
balance, the
yeah,
balance, the balance.
once in a while is fine. It all works out. And then a trip down to the coast, because I love the coast, on a nice sunny day. Just having a walk and a relax down by the seafront, having an ice cream. Uh, that's that. I love days like that. Unfortunately, we don't get the weather so much in the UK, but to do that. But well, when it does work out, it's really nice.
Saying that, what's the biggest joy of being Steve? What do you like the most about being you?
I like to think that I'm a good person and I help people. I'm always
Mhm.
looking to help people, in no matter what I do. It's if it's even if it's just somebody's dropped something, can I pick something up for them? Holding doors open for people. And just being there for people. I enjoy that part of my personality. Um, so I try and encourage it in myself. So
And
and it makes you confident as well. If you to step into a situation that you're not part of to help, I think is I'm glad that I've got the ability to be able to do that.
and you always been this way, Steve.
I was very, very shy when I was younger, so probably not. I think it was in me. I think it was there to do, but I was very shy. I didn't like talking to new people. So yeah, I think it was there, but it took a good few years for it to come out of me, for me to be able to display it.
And when you think about your childhood memories, tell me the first memory that comes to your mind when you think about it.
We used to have a family caravan down the coast, and so um, at weekends, Mum and Dad would take us down there, and
Uh-huh.
they had a swimming pool and they had slot machines, and we could get to the beach, and it was
Oh,
just constant activity. We were constantly running around, either swimming or running or playing on the slot machines, and it was just a really nice time, and we'd spend our
oh.
summer holidays there as well. So we didn't really go abroad. We just literally went down to the coast to the caravan, and I think that memory will always sit with me, and they're happy memories as well. So
I can
it,
imagine the adventure for kids to have this experience. I think it's just, it's the best. As you're never gonna forget. I think those adventures you
Absolutely,
always remember for sure.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and it was
And you
obviously a
have,
very long time ago as well. So it's the world was a very different place back then.
uh-huh. And do you have siblings as well, or you have a big family?
No, not so much. I only have a brother. I have a younger brother. Unfortunately, my parents are not around anymore. So
Okay.
yeah, but he's my only sibling is my brother.
I
Um,
see.
we have busy lives, so what happens. Life gets in the way, and you don't tend to to communicate as much as you should, or as you want to. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's.
not.
I think there are no rules. I think sometimes we have this connection from siblings. Sometimes get a bit, as you said, life gets in the way, and things happen. And sometimes maybe got back again, more close. It's up and down. It's like a roller coaster. Yeah,
Exactly, and family will always be family, so you'll always
so
find a way back.
absolutely great. Next question. Let's do it. Right. So before the next question, tell me what's the biggest joy of being a coach when you are performing your profession, when you are connect with your clients, people that you're helping. Tell me the joy of it.
It's when somebody comes to you with a problem, or they're in pain. You know, they got a problem they can't solve themselves, and they put their complete trust and faith in you to help them and solve it.
Yeah.
Um, that to me is massive. That, you know, they're willing to do that. You know, because generally before we work together, we've only had a couple of small calls, and they're willing to go all in and help. And I think the biggest joy is when we get massive breakthroughs. You know, for example, when somebody hits their first 30 days without alcohol and they tell me how great they feel, you know, and then when we get to
Wow.
90 days, you know, they're a different person, you know, completely different person.
Wow.
And I almost wish I could record the first call and the last call, you know, to see the difference in them, because
Uh-huh.
they get the sparkle back in their eye, you know, the glint comes back, you know, the cheeky grin comes back, you know, because alcohol's been numbing it for so long. And seeing that change and then knowing that I've helped do that is
Uh-huh.
incredible. You know, I would do it for free if I could. You know, that's the kind of joy that it gives.
I can imagine. I think when you do something with passion, when you do something that, it's about you. It's very personal. It comes from your heart. I think you don't see it as a job. You just see it as having a great time.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, and I feel privileged and lucky to be able to do it as well. So,
Amazing. Okay. Next question is, what is the most difficult thing have you ever done?
um, oh, that's a tough one. There's been lots of difficult things in my life. I think any kind of big change. So sort of for me, sort of big job changes, because when I was a younger man, I was very, very shy. And you find with shy, introverted people, they like things to be the same. They don't like change. They like everything's in its box and it's same. So to progress in my career, I've obviously had to move jobs a few times, and every single time I've moved a job, the imposter syndrome jumps back in. You know, can I do it? Am I good enough? And you know, any kind of big change in my life, the self doubt has crept in, which has taken me years to try and, master it. And I probably never will master it, but I've got to grips with it a bit more now. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, moving because I used to be a lorry driver, but that's when how I started out, and then going from driving to being a manager in the office, that was a huge step.
Wow.
And I questioned for a long time, could I do it? You know, years into the role, it was like, oh, am I doing well? Am I doing good enough? You know, so that was so difficult to do. But the only way you're going to master self doubt is by practice and doing it and putting yourself in these situations. If I'd have hidden from it, I would have still been doing my first job now. But it's to progress, you have to push the boundaries a bit, don't you?
I get your point. And I had a lovely man here on the show a few months ago, and he said something interesting. He said to me, William, when those opportunities come along, could be jobs, could be life opportunities, could be anything. Say yes, and after you deal with it, you know what I mean. Even if you feel scared, and even if you feel like, you know what, as you said, I know these butterflies. You feel this anxious feeling. You know what I mean? Like, my God, when I'm putting myself in, but you know what? Do it, and after you deal with, and I think it makes a little bit of sense. It kind of encourages you to do it, and after you overthink, after you analyze, but before just say yes, I'm up for it somehow. I get your point.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, I say yes to almost everything now, whereas
Yeah,
years ago I wouldn't. And you say
yeah.
you say yes, then you work out how you're going to do it after.
Yeah, totally. And somehow there's always a way for you to work it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's always something. So sometimes we can avoid ourselves for situation that maybe we'd enjoy, maybe would make a new connection, or maybe we'd make experience, a life experience. And just because we trapped ourselves sometimes, and trust me, it can happen to all of us. It doesn't matter if you are introvert or maybe. I think all of us we have that. We have the thing that's, I think it's a human being maybe characteristic. We go like, oh, actually, I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. You're totally right.
What's the meaning of life for you, Steve?
The meaning of life is, now believe, joy.
Hmm.
I think is important to experience and give joy, because we're not here for very long, and the older you get, you suddenly realize, you start to think about your own mortality. You obviously go to more funerals when you're older than you do weddings. It's a sign. you know and what is the point of being here if not to spread and experience joy?
Totally.
But again, that's taken me years to get there. And back when I was drinking, I never would have thought that. I almost hated life at the time, and I now realize how lucky I am to have what I have, to experience what I've had. From a young boy with our caravan down the coast to what I'm doing now. I'm so grateful for it.
Wow.
And I really do think that is the point of life. And when people kind of mope around and moan about everything, I always think that you're missing the point.
Yeah, yeah,
If you lost all this tomorrow, you'd be devastated.
totally. Yeah. And tell me, do you think that happiness is a choice?
Yes, I do. I think a lot of it's to do with your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are lots of people in victim mode who will blame the whole world for their problems,
Mm-hmm.
but we control our own destinies. Sometimes life does deal us a very horrible hand,
Yeah,
but that is life. We all have to deal with the sad things in life, but then that makes the joy even better, doesn't it? You can't have the good without the bad. It doesn't work like that. If every
totally.
day was life on a beach, what's the point? You'd soon get bored with it, wouldn't you?
And you wouldn't learn anything. You don't learn
Of
anything. Yeah,
course, yeah. You learn by being uncomfortable, by being in pain,
yeah.
and humans have always been like that. But
And
sorry,
yeah, sorry, carry on. Sorry.
I was going to say, in in the world we live in, where it's like instant gratification for things, instant dopamine hit for everything these days, we've lost sight of that a little bit. We've
Yeah,
lost sight of actually what it is to be human.
yeah. I think I grew up in back in Brazil. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, and I remember, my God, there's no technology. Again, I think that technology it's a great thing to do. I think something that renovate the world, make things connections quicker. People. It's a lot of things there. But however, back to our childhood, when you say about in a caravan with your parents, I think you still can do that. But I think there's a it is different. It's a bit different than before. I think we were very lucky to grow up in that time when we had that and when thank God we kind of managed that, and we can see the difference now because the new generation, for them, it's going to be something that's it's normal to be
Yeah,
this way. Do you know what I mean? Not wrong with that,
absolutely.
and not wrong with that. I think it's just a different word. You know what I mean? But we
Yeah,
had the chance to experience before that explosion of technology, and we can kind of understand the difference and have this
Ab-
nostalgia feeling.
oh yeah, I'm very nostalgic. If anything from the 1980s comes on, I'm I'm there.
3 questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, next question is that a dream you always had?
Yes, I always wanted to work for myself,
Mm-hmm,
um, and I didn't know at the time at what. But again, being a shy introvert, I could never see myself doing it.
mm-hmm,
I've managed to sort of step out of my introvert self as I've got older, and my dream now is to coach full time, make it a full time business. Do it every day. And so the dream has always been to work for myself, and it's only been in the last 2 to 3 years that I've worked out what it is.
right.
Because I believe we're all good and talented at something. We've all got
Oh,
a gift. Every single one of us has
yes,
got a gift, but we find it at different stages in life. So some people are child prodigies at stuff. Other people wait till your 50s and you go, oh, that's it. I was a late one. I didn't find one until I was in my 50s.
me
But
too.
yeah, but we've all got it, and I believe that. And I say that to people sometimes, and they just I'm not good at anything.
Yeah,
And I always say, well, if you tried everything ever, you haven't. Everybody's good at something.
totally, totally.
And yeah, so my dream is that to be able to run my coaching business full time, and provide a good life for my family.
Wow. And as you mentioned about being shy and somehow you came out of the shelves. Tell me how how did you manage that? Tell, do you remember like exactly the situation, or maybe the time when you felt like not that anymore? Did something happen, or just naturally you felt more confident about life?
I think it was a definitely a gradual thing. I don't think it was a wake up one day and go, oh, I feel different.
Hmm.
I think I was slowly edging towards it, but I think life and life experience help push me that way,
Right.
especially when you suffer loss. And it does make you question kind of purpose and things like that in life.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's what's pushed me towards being, a little bit more extrovert in terms of saying yes to things that I wouldn't normally say.
Hmm.
If somebody said now, do you want to do a skydive? I'd be absolutely petrified, but I'll say, yeah, let's do it. I'll work it out when I'm up there or when I'm on my way down. Because life is way too short, and I'd rather regret something I've done than something I've not done.
If someone gave you an envelope with your death date inside of it, would you open it or not, and why?
So interesting. I was asked this at the weekend, and funnily enough, that's the question I was going to ask you.
It's okay. You can still ask me. Spoiled, but you still can ask. Now I have time. I have time to think now.
Okay, my answer is no, I
Okay.
wouldn't,
Hmm.
because I think I would be a very different person.
Right.
So, say if you gave it to me at 18 and said, "Here's your death date," I would have lived my life very, very differently had I known what that was, and I don't think I would have been as nice a person because I think arrogance would creep in. Because
Right.
life suddenly wouldn't be as beautiful as it is now. Because when you don't know, every moment that you live, it is beautiful because you don't know if it's your last, and you really don't. I don't mean to sound morbid, but there's no guarantee we're going to wake up tomorrow morning. So make the most of today. And I think if you knew when your time was up, it would make you very different. And I think leading up to it, it would make you very bitter. Well, I've only got 3 years left. What's the point? So, yeah.
Yes, I get your point. And for you, aging is something that bothers you, or you just see as a matter of life?
No, it bothered me when I turned 40. I had a big issue with 40. I didn't like it. But when I turned 50, I embraced it completely. And I think 50 is a great age because I've got the life experience behind
Yeah.
me. And I don't think I'd want to be 18 again. I really don't. Yeah, well, maybe with hindsight, I'd do things a little differently, but yeah, aging is all part of it. None of us can stop it. You need to embrace it. You know, I had a word with myself when I turned 40, like, why am I complaining? The other way to look at it is I'm very, very lucky to hit 40 and 50.
Yeah.
Not everybody does it, you know?
So,
So if I can get to 60, 70 or whatever, then I'm lucky. And that's how I look at it.
as they say, life starts at 50. So you're just starting a life now.
Yeah, you're just beginning.
Two questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Do you like dancing, Steve?
I'm not very good at it, but again, I do it badly.
No.
Dad dancing apparently.
I think dancing is express of yourself. I think, when you close your eyes, you just move yourself. There are no rules. That's how I see about dancing. Before the next question, as you mentioned about how much you enjoy being a coach, helping others based on your experience. Um, and of course, talking to people, helping others, there's always energy there. Yeah. And sometimes this energy can be a bit negative, can be too strong or too rush that for you, maybe, sometimes, coaching for sure, you need to be empathetic. You need to kind of you get involved somehow. It's impossible for you not to get involved in the situation. My question for you is, when you have those, um, you know, let's say sessions or talks when the energy can be a bit drained, a bit negative.
Hmm.
There is a way for you to somehow block yourself, not to take this energy to your personal life somehow, or there is a mechanism for you. How do you work with that, with this situation when you face it?
Yeah, there are clients where you do think about after the sessions because because of how they were. And there are
Mhm.
sessions when you stop the call and you do feel drained, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, and the simplest way for me to deal with that myself is to just move, get up and go for a walk.
Hmm.
Just get outside, get some fresh air, listen to some music, and just process it.
Hmm.
Because we also have supervision as well, because we have to unload as coaches. So we'd have supervision sessions, especially if there's a tricky one. It's important to make sure you get that release, because you can't just be a sponge and soak up everybody's issues and not deal with it, because you'll sink. So
Absolutely.
and I learned that very early on. When they talked about supervision, I thought, I'll be all right. I don't need that. But you do get the ones that, pull on your heartstrings, and you do think about outside the calls. So
Yeah.
I've kind of come up with my own coping mechanisms. I'll go for a walk, listen to some music, or just
Mm.
walk in silence, and just listen to the birds singing. I know it sounds corny, but it works. Nature works, and nature heals as well.
Of course. Okay. Next question is, what's the best advice have you ever given to someone?
Um, I say to people lots of times to just go for it.
Hmm.
Because say if somebody comes with a should I do this, should I didn't, should I not? I think most of the time people know what they should do,
Yeah.
but people are scared of making a decision, and they ask other people for advice. What would you do? And I always ask them, what does your heart tell you? And then they say, oh, my heart says I should do it, but my head is saying, oh, it's not the right time, and it never is the right time, ever.
Yeah.
It's when most people start a family, it's never the right time to start a family, but you work it out. you
Uh-huh.
know so I always say, listen to your heart, and your head will work it out. um, and then it is up to them to take that step.
I call that intuition, Steve. I think our intuition is very strong. Even though sometimes you're going to do something maybe it's wrong or something that you shouldn't do it, you already straight away you feel it. Even if you're going to do it, it's going to happen, whatever. However, your intuition always talks to you. I think your intuition is, if you follow your intuition, trust me, you know, you can avoid things or you can, achieve things as well. I think it's all about, as you said, people they know it. We just know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think we all do. It's all in our gut. Listen to your gut,
Yeah.
but we don't. We like to stick up barriers,
Yeah.
because now no, nothing is ever going to be 100%, is it?
No.
Yes, you should 100% do this. It's guaranteed. There's always a bit of I could stay in my safe little bubble, or I could go for it.
Yeah.
So I always say, listen to your heart, don't listen to your head.
Totally. Last question. Ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Last question. Okay. Before the last question, just a curiosity. Just talking to you now came to my mind. I've been living in London in England almost most of my life. I left Brazil when I was 19. I moved in Portugal, and it been mainly London. you know, it's a social thing about drinking. I think people, it's quite normal. When I arrived here in London, when I started going out with friends, and I realized that there's always, let's get a pint. There was always something. What do you think? Why is that? Do you think people it's kind of an icebreaker, having to start something with a drink? It's a habit, it's a cultural thing. How do you see that, like based on your experience? It's something that, of course, maybe to feel more relaxed, or maybe to express, maybe to talk, or something that's maybe feel shy. What do you think? Overall, people, there's this tendency of, okay, let's meet for a talk, whatever, and always start with a drink.
Yeah, but particularly in England, it's ingrained in you from a very young age. But people of my age, we grew up watching our parents. Your dad goes to the pub and has beer, and I think if we're honest, our first taste of beer, none of us liked it. It was disgusting, but
Yeah.
but we trained ourselves to like it.
Right.
So I mean, I started going to pubs when I was 16. And back then, it wasn't as strict as it is now. Um, and I think the social settings are always around a drink because I mean, people say it relaxes you and it makes you more confident. It in fact doesn't. It actually makes you more stupid, and you'll say and do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
And it's such a big part of UK culture is going to the pub, as I'm sure you found out when you first came
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And a few years back, if you went against that and said, "Well, actually, I don't drink," it's
Hmm.
frowned upon. I mean, fortunately, it's gaining traction now. But people use it all the time, and some people build events around the drink. So it's not a question of doing something; it's let's go here so we can drink.
Right.
Um, and that is what's caused a problem with certainly middle-aged people drinking way too much because they don't know when to stop. Because
Hmm.
yes, you feel great for that first couple of drinks, you get the buzz and everything, the world feels great, but you're doing so much damage to your body and your brain that it's just not worth the risk. And why would you want to present the world a stupid version of yourself? Because that's what you're doing. You're basically making yourself stupid. So
I see. Okay. Last question for you is, do you think your priorities have changed since you're younger?
definitely, yeah. When I was younger, it was all about I need to earn money, I need to get money, I need to get a house, I need to get a car. It was all about stuff and things, and material things. Whereas now I relish experiences more than things. I would much rather travel and go and see a new country, and see a new culture and meet new people than have a shiny thing.
Hmm.
Have a new car or a new watch or whatever it is. That doesn't interest me anymore. I would rather experience something different rather than have something different, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to say some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
Let's start. Life,
Fun,
money,
a necessity,
fear,
it's a myth,
okay, love,
essential,
family,
important,
religion.
um, necessary,
Okay. One word for sex,
important,
politics,
greed,
friendship,
very necessary,
desire,
uncontrollable.
regret.
I've had a few.
Okay, success,
Is a mindset.
wish,
Don't believe in wishes.
okay, happiness.
That's life.
One word for Kent.
Green.
Of course. One word for England.
Challenging.
And the last one now. Alcohol-free performance coach. One word.
Essential.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your partner for a coffee, and I'm going to ask her. Define Steve in one positive and one negative word only. What should say about you?
She would say I'm kind,
Hmm.
and she'd say I was quiet.
Interesting. Which one is the negative? Which one is the positive? I'm joking. I'm joking.
In yeah, I'll let you work that one out.
Let's play now, Steve, in the matchbox, and you can ask me a question. Okay, before you ask me the question, I'm going to ask a question in two parts. The first part of the question is, since you started, your journey as a coach, tell me a situation that you could share, something that so far you hold close to your heart. Could be a feedback from a client, could be maybe a feeling, anything that for you, since you start doing it, you go like, you know what, I'll cherish these moments. And the second part of the question is, so people watching this interview right now, maybe they would like to connect with you or to start a journey, have you as a coach. What's something about the job that you provide that stands out?
Okay. So the first part, I had a recent call with a client who was a heavy drinker,
Hmm.
and one of the reasons why he wanted to stop was because of his kids. So his kids are very young, and he was worried that they were seeing him drinking too much and was worried about the impacts it was having on them. So when he worked with me for a couple of weeks, and the kids could see the change in him, straight away because he was doing more with them. And
Wow.
one day they got into his car, and his 9-year-old son produced a teddy bear that said "Super Dad," and gave it to him and said, "Daddy, we're really proud of you."
Oh my God, I got goosebumps now saying that.
Yeah, and
That's beautiful.
I'll never forget that. I mean, I must admit, I had a moment myself. He cried, and I've,
I'm about to have as well. If you carry on talk about, my God, what a beautiful moment.
yeah,
Yes, that's wow. It's
so
impossible not.
so beautiful.
It's
Yeah,
impossible not to touch your heart. The situation.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Something you can't buy, you can't do anything. That is just a moment of pure love.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Wow. Thanks for sharing, Steve. Wow, that's amazing. Wow. Imagine for him to have this moment. Imagine
Yeah, and
if
I was
yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I was so privileged that he shared that with me. It was a very deeply personal moment, and that was a wow moment for me. That was, oh my God, that's incredible.
That's beautiful. Wow. And the second part, people would like to start, have you as a coach or somehow connect with you. Tell me something about you, or about your job that you provide.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram as Steve Kirchell Coaching, which is a
Okay.
mouthful, but probably should change that. And I work with people who, first of all, we have to click, we have to get on. I use a lot of my own experiences through the struggles that I had, and how I got through it in order to break free from alcohol. It's not just
Hmm.
a case of willpower. Willpower doesn't work. We dive in, we do the work, and we work out why you're drinking. And then we get you to realize that actually you don't need it anymore, because the best way to stop drinking is to just not want it. And
Hmm.
that's what I do with my clients. I get them to a point where they just don't want it anymore. They don't think about it.
Right.
So for the latter stages of my client calls, the only time they think about alcohol is when I message them and say, "Are you okay?" So, which is great. That's exactly what we want. So, yeah, it's so far 100% success rate, touching lots of wood that it carries on like that.
Amazing. Beautiful. Okay, Steve, you can ask me a question now.
Okay, sneaky suspicion you might know what this one is, but so if your 18-year-old self could find out your death date, would you want to know, and why?
Wow. Right. You know what? I think knowing myself, knowing the person I am, I'm very curious. I'm very curious. I'm very adventurous. I like the prohibited. I like to see, you know, I remember like growing up, my mom, I love water, going to the river, and so many times, I remember like looking the water, and when I saw clear because I could see the sand. When I saw the dark, is because I couldn't, I couldn't go there.
Hmm.
And my mom was explaining that to me. Look, this you can see the sand here, so you can stay here. Don't go there because it's dangerous. As soon as she turned around, I went straight away to the other side. So I'm very curious. However, I wouldn't open it. I wouldn't because I, as you mentioned, I think it would change my way of seeing life. I think even though it would be maybe, I don't know, in a lifestyle, I don't know, 40, 50 years, still I would have that in my mind and somehow I would always remember about that. And of course, it would be too early, maybe the next day or next hour, I'll panic and I don't know what I'll do. So I think, I'll be very tempted. Like, trust me, I'll be very tempted because it's there in front of you. You just know it. You know what I mean? There, you can, it's there. You could, I don't know, somehow as well mold your life. And fun enough, I have this question here on the Matchbox, and I almost took it out from the Matchbox because I thought everyone would say no, no, no. I wouldn't open it. Guess what? A few people, they said yes. And again, for their reasons, not wrong or right, just, the way people we see life. Some people, they see different way, and not right or wrong. So back to your question, I wouldn't open, because I think it would be, I don't know, I like I like every day to be a new day, and to learn something, and to, you know what I mean. I think knowing that day would come on point somehow. Of course, it will come on point, but knowing that, I think I would have that in back of my mind, and I wouldn't be able to see life in the same way that, naturally I see now. And I like the way I see life. So somehow we spoiled, and I think I would be a bit different. I think, I don't know, it would change a little bit my personality as well. So I don't think I would be able to open. Very tempted for sure, but I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I think everyone would be lying if they said they weren't tempted. Um,
For sure, that's sure,
yeah,
that's for sure, for sure. Enjoy the interview, Steve.
I did. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Yes, thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being so kind and accepting the invitation. And good luck on your journey. I love passionate people here on the show. I love when people come here and they express, their journey, what they are passionate about. And I think life is about that, for us to express, to try, to follow our intuition, to try new things, to, do it, because that's the meaning of life for me, is for you to just to go for it. And about age, there's no age, you know what I mean? There's no, it's just a number. You can try anytime when ready. You know what I mean? I think that's the great joy of it. And before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Just say yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, whatever opportunity comes along, say yes to it. Don't overthink it. Just just
Just
just do it and work it out. Because
amazing.
opportunities are sometimes rare, so when they do come along, take them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The
It's
power of saying yes. It's
Yes,
amazing.
because it's the universe's way of telling you that you should be doing that.
Totally.
Perfect. Yeah, I love what you're doing. This is so great. I've been watching, so I've seen some of the others that you've done.
Thank you
So
so much. Thank you, Steve. You know the feeling when you are coaching? You know this
yeah,
feeling?
yeah,
That's the feeling when I'm here. That's exactly the same feeling. So you know what the feeling when I'm here is like. It's amazing. It's
yeah.
great. I love it.
Well, the world needs more people like you, because that's this is incredible.
Oh,
So
thank like us.
like us, yes. That's the
Thanks again.
introvert in me.
Thanks again. Regards to your partner, to your family and friends, and you keep in touch. Okay, it was a
Of
pleasure.
course. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
take
Nice one.
care.
So nice to meet you.
You
Take care
too.
of
And
yourself.
sometime in London, in Kent, you never know. Okay,
Yeah,
we are in the same country.
yeah. We can have an alcohol-free beer together.
Amazing. Take care. Okay, enjoy
Take
your evening.
care.
Bye
See you
bye.
later. Bye bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.